We're on the air. Hey. The June 8th gathering, the City of Lawrence Parks Board. Rained a little bit. It is summertime, and that is exciting. Getting started here. Got some fun guests here tonight. I informed him that 99% of the time we have nothing but fun stuff. Tonight it's about 90% good, fun, positive, and 10% not so fun. But we got people in the administration who are working diligently to bring that 10% up to the fun side. So there you go. Real quick, thank you, Ms. D, for getting minutes out to us from our meeting way back on May 11th. I apologize, I get the wrong day of the year. Are there any additions, subtractions, corrections? If there are not, being none, I would entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, accepting minutes as submitted?
I'll get it together here in a minute. I'm sorry.
You two situated over there.
We're just having all kinds of problems today.
I need to, all those in favor, accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Got it, thank you. Yeah, that was when I looked over there. It's like having middle school kids.
It is. There's some disturbance going on.
Holy heck. Hey, we got some updates from all over. We got the fun updates, most of them. I'm going to start with the not so fun, and I'm just going to prime the pump where, as we go along with a couple of these, I'll have Corey and Eric interject. On the downside, pickleball court completion continues to be a pain in the butt. They're not ready to be open. They're about 75% of the way to be open. AES did get their transformer moved out there. Power and everything flowing out there, Mr. Eric?
As far as I know, the lighting contractor is supposed to come out in the evening and aim the lights, but I haven't seen them on yet.
Okay.
They weren't aimed as of yesterday.
Okay, we got lighting, aiming, that's coming. The issue, a couple of them, well, they're major. They still have not bored the holes and then poured the concrete with the standard for the netting. That needs to occur, and when I bug Eric and Corey specifically, they can walk us through that. And then the top coat, seal coat, that's kind of what I was rambling on. If you heard me when you were coming in, we're trying to get that taken care of. And then, Ms. Corey, can you come up here? Just kind of it sounds nitpicky, but it's not nitpicky. I call it the tidy up portion of it, when they had to reinstall the fence with the flanges and the galvanized caps. And just kind of, Eric, I'll let you both kind of tag team, just the general cleanup and appearance just around the pickleball courts. What you're feeling, where do you think we're at?
When the fencing company put the fence back up, we are not satisfied with the work they did, and we've been working to get that fixed. I have a couple pictures on my phone here, and so I apologize. I can send them to you. But instead of replacing the parts that they had damaged, in taking it down and reinstalling it, they used black paint and
over the galvanized, yeah.
And so as I went out there and they put it on in the morning when it was damp and kind of rainy, and so where you touch it, it all is peeling off with just a touch to it. So I was assured by Lindsay via email that they would be replacing those parts. And so we don't have a date when that is, and I am waiting to hear back from her. But it's my favorite stopping place every morning.
You got me, and I went in after I left the mayor's office today, and I went in there and I said, grumble. It does look like some of the landscaping component has been cleaned up, yes. The area of the site.
The fencing company did come out and do that, and I did see him picking up, because when they took and had to reinstall the fence and drill new plugs, holes to put it in, they just threw those on the side and left some of their trash around and stuff. And so they were back and they were picking that up. Also, it's nice to see the grass that
Shusting.
It is shifting.
It is slowly, it's coming in, so it's nice that we've had some rain to get where the seeding was done. And you can see that coming through the straw bed. Jim Hennigan and his team, and then Eric and the Parks team have been working on getting the rest of the facility looking good. And we're kind of struggling on a timing for a cleanup day. We want to get some people out there
Right.
to volunteer and do some things, but until the work is done, it's difficult to get that planned. So we're kind of on a hold on getting some of those cosmetic things then done to really make it look beautiful for
One of the
opening
things
day.
Eric's noticed, and I've noticed when I've gone out there, especially on Sunday, if they see somebody that's out and walking on the courts, or they see a city vehicle that's just out there, folks have driven in 3 or 4 cars. I had it'd be Monday, they just come in and they get out of their cars, they walk it. I know Brett Krausler, Principal at Lynn, he's a constant, a positive pain in the behind, but checking in when it might be open and the communication in the pickleball world, this is, I'm telling you, this, I never played the game and I never thought this is, but it's something, it is a thing, and folks are waiting anxiously for this to happen.
Were there any penalties in the?
Well, Eric, that's what we were talking about, penalties to Brant for.
There's nothing in the contract. We should have certainly had something, but it was just so dependent on the weather that,
And just,
and again, it's,
a $300,000 contract, I didn't think a company would have experienced to the level, the degree. Very disappointed, Brand, and I'm just kind of speaking from here, not returning either emails or messages from the professional end has irritated folks. I know that, overseeing their subs, the fencing company, and making sure they did quality work for them. Those are just you just grit your teeth. And not a positive experience with them, no, to say the very least. Kind of polite, professional way to put it,
Is that right?
That is.
compared to how we've kind of yelled and screamed about it, but yes. Why have you up there? Because of the issues with CCA and pickleball. This group, are they still hot to want to come out and be a part of us and the facility?
Yes, they have been very, surprisingly,
Yes.
more than patient, and have been proven to be good partners up to this point. They have been doing their pickleball, and it has not been ideal conditions
Right.
because they're using tennis courts that haven't been used, so therefore haven't, by a school. And so they haven't been resurfaced and those kinds of things, and they've been making the best of that. Their hope is that they've had some rainouts, so with this first session, they'll be able to do their tournament play here on the new courts. That would then encourage those who had signed up to be able to do that. They have put out, which was part of the agreement that the board, Parks Board had approved, is that they could be using the field for softball or kickball, and so they do have registration up for softball right now for 2 nights during the week. And they have been involved as we look to find the right layout for that land. They've been great at providing us input on
Yeah.
what would become a good revenue generator that would entice them to want to be there and help us make the other areas of the park playable with other amenities.
So which field would they be playing on?
They're going to be playing on the baseball field.
The big one.
That was there, the one that was the Cathedral used to have as their home field. And so you'll see that that's been skinned, and that's in preparation because that will be softball, but they don't change really the size of that because it's the co-ed, and so they say they have fun in that size field, and that's what they use at other parks, so their leagues are used to that.
and they're still scheduled they have a tournament at Alexander Park this Saturday, and they're still
Okay.
scheduled for that, so.
They've been patient, and this is a pretty cool group to sit down and talk with. It's grassroots, holy heck. And you know how you can start, we have played in it and been a knucklehead in it. Our softball leagues can be very competitive, but they are a young adult. I'm going to say to not so young adult, it's a social club is what it is. And how many facilities would you say or sites around central Indiana do they use? It's at least 10.
Oh, more than
I'm
that.
lowballing it by a lot.
There's quite a few.
So and like I said, we want to do our darned, it's just a few interactions I've had with them. They're unique and they're fun, and to their credit, the owners and the partners go out and get their hands dirty right in the middle of it.
Relationship between our softball teams,
The
players.
difference
Is that
with
okay?
that is that our softball leagues are, there's men's and there's women's. This is true co-ed, social, more rec. They do not do any
Rec,
of that
that's the key.
competitive
The rec
type.
league, yeah.
And so that is why they're a good match for us, that they don't compete with what we are already doing.
It is truly recreational.
Yes.
So,
Everybody's getting along.
yeah.
Yeah, they won't do any, if it's not co-ed, they don't do it.
Well, I got you here real quick. I'm going to finish your reports by bugging you with questions. YMCA, their experience so far?
Everything's been fine with soccer. They've had some rainouts.
Yeah.
They've had 2 rain-out dates. They've got 2 more dates in the month of June, and then they're done with their spring.
Are they still going to try to play tournament out there?
Yeah, that was my understanding. I haven't heard any more on that
I
schedule.
haven't heard any dates yet. No.
So we'll double check on that.
That was one of the big ones, because I think it's a great thing for them, because the Y will be celebrating on the 14th of June, their 25th anniversary out here at Fort Harrison, coming up next week. And I know they wanted to have kind of a Central Indiana YMCA sort of tournament over there at Burns Field. So I might bug you about it to make sure if that's
I'll
online,
check before
because I think that's a
tomorrow when I
very
see
cool
it,
deal for
1:30.
everybody.
We'll check that.
Updates, fun updates, events.
The Fort Ben Farmers Market opened,
Please.
and it was on the cultural campus, and that is where it's going to be located this year. We did a survey of the vendors who participated on opening day. Everyone who responded said that their sales were above expectations. They were very pleased with the new location. They were very pleased with the city's help in promoting and what they did, and really felt that it was well organized, felt the city was strongly behind it, and were really encouraged for the season. Last week, we had 25 vendors there.
Wow, I didn't know
This week, you'll see 32 vendors.
That was my next question, and I hope we do this. There is a potential, and fingers are crossed, this year will be the only year we'll have to be at the cultural campus. Could we outgrow ourselves before the summer's out?
We won't outgrow ourselves
Okay.
before the summer's out. I mean, right now, we're only using about half of the campus
Okay.
with 30 vendors on it. And so I think that it's going to continue to grow. We have a blood drive. We're trying to also do special events with our farmers market. So we have blood drive this week. We only had 1 opening for the blood drive.
Oh, really?
And so that's nice to see that is filling up. Then next week is the 16th. Jennifer Malott will be performing from 4:30 to 6:30 with music there. On the 23rd, we will have yoga at the market.
Oh, Eric.
So that will be taking place. On the 30th, we have a band south of 65. And we continue some really fun partnerships with Arts for Lawrence. On July 21st is the Shakespeare Festival, so we will be the market at the Shakespeare Festival. So fun things like that are happening, and you'll continue to see things like that happening throughout the season. We've actually had some musicians reach out to us now, and we've had, like I said, every day we're getting more vendors, and a lot of them are being referred by those vendors who are already there. So very pleased with the feedback we got and the response from the community. And there was question about produce vendors. We just had one there this week. We have another one joining us. It is just the beginning of growing season.
Yeah, I was going to say a little early,
There's
folks.
not a lot out there, but we will continue. My Dad's Sweet Corn comes at the end of this month. We will be continuing, and you'll see more fresh fruits and produce in addition to all the others. We do have meats this year, and so lots of.
We will be at the events. We will have children's back-to-school vaccinations occurring and the like.
In the month of July, every Thursday of the markets from 4 to 7. There will be free back-to-school vaccinations for children, and everyone who gets vaccinated will get a free backpack.
Yeah, it's getting, and the good thing, it's getting wore out, and that's the way we always wanted it, and that's what we want, and it's a great gathering point. And imagine, get the Civic Plaza up and going, we'll have 2 major gathering points at this place, not including what goes on at the parks.
And then the other thing we were able to do this past week is Coron Homes had their annual Strawberry Festival, which is a customer appreciation for all their facilities. And so we had a booth at the event, so we were able to share about all the Fourth Fest activities coming up. So make sure you have your calendar marked for July 4th with our parade at 10, car show starts at 10, at Community Park. The fish fry starts at 11, that goes to 3, and then in the evening we have a music festival where Jennifer Malott again will be performing there for an hour, and then starting at 6, and at 7 starts Big Roscoe and the Hammers, and they are till 10 o'clock, and at 10 o'clock then is the fireworks show. So lots going on in the park and exciting times, but shared a lot of information about that, shared information about restaurants in the city, our bike tour, our, Tour Lawrence, and
Which
then
if you
also,
get you free entry into the state park if you one of our tour bikes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
yes, and then also we shared about the farmer's market. So it was a good 4 hours that was spent there on Saturday.
Lots going on.
That's all I have.
And I'll go be honest, with gas being the way it is, 2 years ago, people stayed around here because of a disease, and now with gas prices being the way they are, I think even more opportunities are being, affordable opportunities are being provided to everybody. Remember, it's not an issue. Our reach is well beyond the boundaries of the city of Lawrence, and folks are coming in from 3 counties at least to come over here and enjoy what we have to provide, so.
We actually have a new produce vendor coming down from Fort Wayne starting in mid-July.
So there you go.
Any questions?
That was good.
Thank you.
Very good.
And you know what? All the not so fun stuff's already been talked about. From here on out, it's good stuff. Real quick, Sturt Center roofing project, and Eric, real quick, the appropriations and how that, from the last council meeting, update on the Sturt Center roofing, all of that, go.
We, pass these along. We did. This is the appropriation that the council passed on Monday evening. So it does allow for the roofing reconstruction. We have 196,000 in there. We have an alternate bid for we're in the process of getting finalization through DNR, but we're under the assumption that we can use a shingled roof that mimics slate, and it's a savings to the department. So we'll be able to utilize the balance of that to correct any problems we have on the inside of the building. We have some water damage from the roof, but that amount should cover it. And then, of course, the appropriations increased gasoline and diesel. We just actually ran out of our purchase order on our off-road diesel this week, so once these funds get reappropriated into our account, then we'll be able to.
At this time, we're still able to go out and cut grass and do.
We have 300 gallons in stock, but we have it topped off every 2 weeks, so hopefully by the next topping, we'll have a PO issued for that.
Did we get all we asked for?
Yes, everything less the asphalt paving and.
This was the amended ordinance.
This is the amended ordinance.
Yes.
So the paving portion, I'll let you know that we've, the city's has a agreement with RQAW to do the design work, and then we will go to bid yet this fall for that. and either have some available funds in-house already or additional funds we'll ask for in the 2023 budget. So we're going to do it, we're going to go ahead and push forward on it.
By next spring, maybe,
Yes.
summer.
Yes, hopefully squeeze it in. They'll get baseball started. They may have to dodge a few things, but yeah, we're shooting for spring with it. Eric, real quick, the improvements other than building the 8,000, what does that encumber?
That was the shed for the Fall Creek softball and baseball program, the additional construction of a storage shed.
Okay, got it. All right. Real quick, and we touched on it briefly. If you go by Lee Road, lots of things are going on. Focal point from my end right now, of course, is pickleball. Eric, real quick, the trail work, the butterfly garden work, the general work that continues out there with Lee Road, just a quick update.
Again, the street department's done a lot of trenching and really moved things along out there. And then we'll come in behind and do the final grade and the seeding and fertilization. So we hope to have that done by the end of next week in preparation for pickleball or anything else coming in. So I did want to pass these out too. That these are the drawings from Structure Point.
Right. And remember, we're meeting with Structure Point. This is a long-range goal for the repurposing of Lee Road Park.
So if you want to take an opportunity to look at those, and we still haven't finalized that, but it's pretty close to what we think we want in the project. And then, of course, the last part of that is the budget. So it will take.
And they've done a decent job. We met with them the first time, and it was ish, to be kind. And then they took to heed. They've done a real nice job of taking, specifically what we wanted, what we needed, what we could do. And Corey, you could chime in here. They're pretty close, spot on to what we envision we'd like to see out at Lee Road going forward into the future. So they've come with open ears after we had that initial meeting, and the work they've done has been really good. There are a couple things out at Lee Road. The big old tree out there, kind of the stuff that's growing up around at its base, is that going to be cleaned out?
I think Jim Hennigan cleaned that up on Monday, I believe.
Okay, because I haven't paid attention. If not,
I think he grubbed all that out the other day. I know we got the fence out, but I think he.
Are we taking out the old dugouts?
Not until we have an alternative thought there.
Okay.
I don't want to do it until, we need some sort of shelter there when we start softball. So.
And the other thing, the scoring tower building that's out there, are we bringing that down?
More than likely. Yeah, but we don't want to have a mess during the softball time out there. So.
Which thing's that?
That's on the old cathedral field.
Got that big score building, kind of the announcer's booth behind home plate.
There's some switchgear in there that we're not, it's all disconnected.
Right. It has to be taken out, removed before you start taking down. It's easy to take down wood, but if you got other hardened stuff there.
Well, one of those dugouts got one of the sides
Yeah.
beat up.
Yeah, I will take.
What'd you hit it with?
We were tearing the fence off and
You did it.
I did it, yeah.
Okay.
So
In that case, it's fine.
You're on.
I won't complain.
I hooked
No pudding for you.
with the backhoe and pulled the wood off, so.
That's okay.
And our butterfly folks, they did do some plantings out on the trail, is that correct?
Yeah, the flowers that were purchased from Wildlife Natures, I think it is. They're off of Malakoff Road.
Right.
Liz planted them out there last week. Yeah, got them planted, and then I was going to go out and water them today, but thank goodness it rained, so we don't have to
Yes.
deal with that. So hopefully
And the butterfly gardens are maturing. I actually had somebody say, well, they don't look too nice right now. And I go, none of us looked real nice when we were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old either. So you got to be patient.
The parking lot, it's not surfaced very well. Are we going to do something with that, or? just leave it?
If you look in that particular
Yeah.
drawing, we talk about taking it out if it's,
We probably don't need it, do we?
probably not, but we're
A lot of parking.
going to wait until we see what sort of usage we have, especially if and when we build the volleyball courts. I think we might need additional parking, so we'll have to
It's not
wait until that day, yeah.
that bad.
No, but it needs to be asphalt surfaced.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I bugged you about this yesterday, Eric, a little bit. Fisher's Park's restrooms are being closed down because of vandalism. Kids are out of school, God love them. Any uptick, or how do we handle our bathroom opening and closing?
We haven't knock on wood. We've had one incident over at Explorer Park. It was back in late April.
Right.
We haven't had anything. I actually did a tour of some of the Greenfield Park system today, and I've got some information coming to me about locking systems. They have
Okay.
they have automatic locks that lock and unlock their restrooms. So that would save us a staff member
Right.
Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, that's kind of where I was going there, yeah.
But there's a lot of initial cost to it.
Right.
And so we're gonna survey that and see if we can afford to do that or not.
If it saves vandalism, though, that would be,
And they've had pretty good luck with it. They do lock and, during at dark or.
Fall Creek's pretty good about making sure they're locked up at the end of their evening with baseball.
Sometimes too good. We have to go back and unlock them
Oh, good.
Saturdays and Sundays.
It's okay. It's okay. It may be an irritant, but that's okay. Last thing for me, we do have 2 seasonal workers.
Actually 3 if you include Ron Sandlin.
Oh, yeah, the return of Ron Sandlin. Ronnie's back working, so we have 3. And God knows we can use.
Yeah, they were weeding today, so thank goodness. That's their objective. That's their objective for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah.
do we have a full quota of staff now, or?
We could still utilize one more seasonal if we could, if we can find somebody. Actually, Amy's son was going to fill out an application, so.
I'm a fine graduate of the Eric Martin Summer Help Program, proud to say.
You survived.
I survived. Look what heights I've risen to, so.
Don't use yourself as
I know that. Yeah, yes, do it, I say, not I do. All right, any other question from Eric from the board? Eric, do you have any other updates we
The
missed?
only other update you asked me about some rental process. So Dina and I went through this afternoon. We've, in the Alexander Park League, we've raised a little over 10,000. Soccer, we've taken in 7,800 so far. Building rentals are about 25,000, and other programmings, which includes softball and soccer, comes to a grand total of 24,000. So we're not as high as we should be, but not bad for
Got it.
where we're at, actually. So
All right.
building rentals are not as good as they were before the,
it's just taking some time to get things back in line, and the catering is we have some growing pains with that. So
Yeah.
I think it's going along a little better than it was earlier in the year. So
Community center, and if you haven't been inside, it's redone. Have we had an uptick in people wanting to rent community center because they don't have to, they can be their own caterer?
we've have the community centers rented almost every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to the end of the year.
That's without a workable stove yet. And when might we get that? This is the ultimate supply chain one.
Sometime in July, the end of July, they're thinking.
You ordered it back.
It's been 12 weeks, 15 weeks ago. Yeah, right after
It's getting used. It looks great on the inside. So, and most of that, we did a lot of that in-house, correct?
Some of it we did, yeah, in the
Right.
kitchen. We utilized a contractor for the flooring.
Right. So, from my end here, we had our, just real quick, a Civic Plaza update. Boyle Construction is doing that project. It's infrastructure type of things. They're starting to work on cuts to Wheeler Road, running of the various water lines that need to go. Dirt, and I felt confident dirt should start being moved around sometime this week, or at least by Monday, which is the 13th. I've signed 3 change orders. That's as my Fort Harrison reuse hat. Nothing major. They're running into supply issues, 12 weeks out on some of the things they need to get. The benches, the wind tree, but we're still on line to late October of having it complete, which puts us in line to keep Miss Judy and Joe from losing their marbles for Winterfest. They said, I asked today, I go, we still in line for, I gave them a week. I go, a first week of November completion. And they say yes. And if it gets much later than that, I'll let Corey deal with them. So it's coming along. So it is exciting. The library over here, they will get steel delivery by Friday with the beams and the stuff. So that'll start going up. So that's exciting. And that's, yes.
When the Civic Plaza's finished, that'll be our responsibility completely?
Yep.
Okay.
And that hence why having, especially when we're utilizing Civic Plaza and the cultural campus, I'm going next summer, the need for seasonal workers and the stress on will even be greater. And it'll be booked.
Which brings us to another thing about maintenance and taking
Right.
care of everything, and, you know.
Yes.
If we're gonna have all these things, we gotta have some way to take care of them.
Yes, that's going to be the ongoing challenge from here on out.
That was, and just a little insight in that, that was, Corey introduced me to Paul Norton. He's with the Greenfield Park System, but he's also with our American Legion here in town, and but he's a master gardener. So possibly looking at the Marion County Master Garden Program, see if we can find some volunteers that will undertake some projects here in Lawrence to help us.
And their growth concept is sustainability, maintenance,
Each
lower
master
maintenance.
gardener, just like a scout, has to do
Yeah.
so many hours of community service, and they have to do mentoring hours too, so that helps us.
As long as they don't get carried away.
Yes.
I know, I'm aware of a place where they got carried away, and
Yeah.
it's been really hard to take care of.
Yeah,
Plus,
keep it on the, real quick, and that gives us to, if you go by the cultural campus, things happening, Miss Judy, that's your cue.
Arts nerd.
Yeah, that's, this is a part of the grant. This is the last phase of it. The Cultural Campus project is moving right along. There's just a few little loose ends. As you all heard earlier on other projects, things are back ordered, but feel confident that all those little loose ends will come together someday, very soon. Put a date. However, the campus is open. The farmers market has been great at the campus. The community, we opened the theater edition so they can use the public restrooms. The community is very grateful for that. They're playing with the musical swings. They're interacting with the marching sidewalk and the energy sculpture that interacts in the lobby of the theater. This Saturday, we are celebrating the National Youth Poet Laureate at the theater. Alyssa Gaines is the National Poet Laureate. She's a Lawrence resident, so we're excited to celebrate with her. And then next week, we start our 4 weeks of summer camp. So the cultural campus will be very active with little ones. And next Friday, we open Fridays at the Fort. So that is the Indie Jazz Orchestra. So come out.
Classing us up a little bit.
Yeah, free concert, great big band music. Then Saturday, a week from Saturday, is the Juneteenth Jubilee. It's our second annual. It's bigger and better than it was last year, and I didn't know that we could top last year.
Yeah,
And the following weekend, we start our classical music Sundays. So lots of things happening at Arts for Lawrence.
update, we got the new benches are all in and installed. And where are we at with the amphitheater?
The amphitheater is, the electricians are coming out on Monday to wire it. It is pretty much complete. They have to finish the brick bases with a limestone cap, and they need to put the faux copper roof
Right.
On, and I talked to the contractor today, and he said he was picking up the metal this afternoon. So hopefully we'll see them out there putting the roof on. And then the last part, once everything is done on the campus and we can take 3D photographs, our augmented reality, virtual reality app designer will take photographs, and the app will launch sometime in August. This logo augments, so if you look at it through the mobile app, all kinds of colors happen. There are 8 or 9 spots on the campus that also augment. The virtual reality app allows you to visit the cultural campus no matter where you are. You can be sitting on your couch and just kind of like a real estate tour through a home. You can tour through the cultural campus, and it also has lots of information of the history of the theater, of the Starrett Center, of the Visual Arts Center, information about all the interactive artwork on the campus, and there's some details about the historic cemetery as well. We wanted to add that to it, and room for growth. So that's my update.
And I always I compliment, we have a City of Lawrence, Arts for Lawrence meeting once a month, and I am going to say, I go to a lot of meetings, and Mr. Hoffman, you may want to book, it is informative, it's very entertaining, in a good way, because you really get a feel of what how we got to where we are getting, and I've taught, Tom, we've taught and all of that. It's kind of like, and the Hoffman kids had me as a teacher, it's kind of like a Jeff S. social studies discussion class. We can get on a topic. We'll go with it for a solid hour, but it is, and that's a compliment. I learned so much from you and Jay, and then Corey arranging, and then Eric writing. I don't think I see Eric write that fast, knowing that there are events and we have to get these things done. It's enjoyable. It really is. It's kind of, it's going beyond the traditional, what we've been known for, stick and ball those type of activities. So I enjoy your company, and I leave there and I go, I'm a lot smarter than when I walked in.
Well, I will also say that Arts for Lawrence has won accolades from the state and the city of Indianapolis for our attention to what we call IDEA, inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. And I'm very proud that we have reached so many different demographics in our community, one of which has been very difficult for us to reach, but we have just solidified a partnership with the VA hospital. So we now have programming designated to veterans at the theater and at the Visual Arts Center. So that's our new partnership.
Good.
And that's that.
Thank you, ma'am. Welcome. All right. Now, we've got a fun thing coming forward here. We only have one actionable item, but it's a pretty significant actionable item. It's a professional service agreement with United Consulting. As we know, and Mr. Joe Murphy, Deputy Chief, he is basking in the rays of Costa Rica as we are chatting tonight. Knowing Joe as a student, as an athlete, as a colleague, coaching with him, when we didn't get our first trail grant, yes, he's young, but boy, it was like he lost a big track meet that he was, but of course he went back into the ring and swung. And of course we were awarded a $1.7 million grant. And he wouldn't make sure I read this before presentation from USI there. Says we are now at a point along Lee Road where we are ready to proceed with accepting an agreement with United Consulting to begin work on survey, design, title search, right of way, etc. And that is what the documents that you have here attached are the documents they've been working on since May. Joe says I will be in Costa Rica. Here are the main ideas from the concepts. City of Lawrence has not signed a grant agreement with DNR for the $1.7 million grant. However, we do wish to proceed with work as soon as possible to get the project started ahead of signing that agreement with DNR. I've been in contact with DNR, and they have confirmed for me that any money spent on the project prior to the signing of the grant agreement will count towards the city's required $500,000 match. It's anticipated that the city will be able to amend the ARP budget to get $220,000 moved into the funding for 2022. This will cover all costs for the project in calendar year 2022, and then additional funds will be budgeted in 23 to cover the remainder of the $500,000 obligation. Now, as far as this agreement with United Consulting, the scope of services attached have been identified in the grant application. Said the city was able to get UCI to collect their fee for a given item. Overall, at the time we submitted the grant application, the city anticipated spending $403,550 for the services listed in the scope. Barring any changes, we will pay $365,050. So all items listed in the scope of services should be completed by January, February of 23. Following completion, city will enter into, this is just first phase, the second phase of the project, which will span another 6 months. Second phase, which is not part of the agreement, will be land acquisition, final design, and eventual bidding. So we expect to be ready to bid this project fall of 2023. City Legal has inspected this, and Ms. Caitlin has given it her blessing. And part of the presentation from United is there is a timeline, and right now we are at step 5, and estimated construction duration once we get going is a completion sometime September of 2024. And with that said, come on down. Hopefully I covered a lot of the points you need to, and we'll work on a motion and giddy up. Go ahead.
Yeah, you did real well. I don't know that there's much else for me to say. I'm Chris Hammond with United Consulting. So here to answer any questions you might have about the project or about the agreement. But as the president said, we've been working with Joe Murphy really since he started.
Yeah, to say it's been more than a month. Yeah.
The mayor before that, I think it started in about 2017. The city got a grant through the Indianapolis MPO to do a pedestrian master plan for the whole city. And the mayor, I think we worked on 20 some different segments of pedestrian trails or sidewalks. And the mayor picked like a top 10. And from that top 10, we narrowed it down to like 3 after some public hearings and public involvement. And then kind of went forward on detailed study for those 3. And this trail that you're looking at tonight is, maybe a third of what was the mayor's number one priority. He wanted to get up Lee Road across 63rd and then over to Oak Landon and all the way up to 71st.
Yep.
So that was his kind of dream project. So this is the start of the dream project that the mayor envisioned as the number one priority in that study from 2017. So you're chipping away at it. You guys are smart enough to know that. You don't have all the money, but chipping away at it, and this DNR Next Level Trails program is a pretty good resource. So Joe, as was mentioned, has been pretty diligent in getting in there and I won't say fighting, but battling for what he wants for the city. So kudos to him, and we've been happy to help with him and now Sri and Eric. So we're ready to get going on the survey of the project. We just need authorization of this contract. And I think was mentioned with all these programs, we do a lot of work with NDOT and
Right.
Federal Highway. And again, you guys might know a little bit about that, but they're anxious to get communities pre-funded.
Right.
But to actually get you the money, for some reason, always takes
Yes.
a long time. So,
The government, we're here to help
yeah.
you.
So they're going to finally get Lawrence the money, and then that's going to have a due date to get the work done. But if you don't get started now, you'll never hit the.
You'll never get going.
So, again, kudos kind of to Joe for realizing that kind of problem, and we're happy to get started. And it sounds like there's funding in order to get us paid for the services that would eventually be reimbursed back through DNR. I think it was a 80-20 program.
Yeah.
And the application that Joe put together and some funding partners and things with the city, I think he was able to get it close to a 25% match. So.
Real quick, we're all novices in your area, obviously, in layman's term. What's kind of the order of what do you guys do in order, real quick?
Well, we'll start with a topographic survey, so we'll have some crews out there on site, and we're going to survey. Basically, we've got a exhibit in there of where the alignment is and where Joe and the city, and he's already talked to several of the property owners,
Yeah.
including the schools is a big property owner, adjacent property owner in this case. So we've already got a pretty good alignment. If we hadn't had that alignment, that survey figure would be much bigger because we'd have to survey a bigger area. But we've already kind of zoomed in on where we want to put the trail. So we'll be surveying that area basically between the edge of pavement, Lee Road, over to the school kind of parking lot and building area. And then the same thing on 63rd, between the south edge of pavement on 63rd and the edge of their parking or school. So we got that area, and the alignment's not exact right now. We need to work with these property owners. So that's kind of step two that we wouldn't do on a lot of projects. But again, because there's good partnerships and Joe's kind of developed these relationships with the school, we're going to show them kind of 10% design plans. So here's what we're thinking, and go out there and actually meet with them and get their buy-in, blessing, if you will, on where the trail is going to go. So that's a step we as designers don't often do. So again, good thinking by Joe and the mayor and everybody involved to take that step. You just don't want to ramrod these projects through when you're asking for partnerships. So show them the 10% plans, get some head shaking and all that kind of stuff, and then start working toward final plans. And when we get to about 40% complete, we'll have a meeting with the utility companies, anybody at the city, Joe, Sri, Eric, anybody else that's interested, a meeting on site to kind of walk through the plans one final time. And when everybody's real happy with the alignment at that point, we'll then start talking to property owners about right-of-way. I think 5 of the 11 property owners have talked to Joe about
Yeah,
the
Joe and I
possibility
talked on that before he left
Yeah.
yesterday
of
extensively.
donating some land that we would need to build the project. And again, the school corporation being the biggest one. The city has the Lee Road Park, of course. But anyway, try to whittle that down to where the city's not spending tons of money on acquisition of property. So that would bring the project cost down some as well. So that would be going on kind of at the same time, buying the right-of-way, acquiring the right-of-way. At the same time, we're finishing up the plans and getting the necessary permits for the project. That's kind of the timeline. Again, about 15 months probably to get to a bid date. We're looking at September of 2023 to bid the project, and then we're thinking might take about a year for a contractor to get it going and finished.
Questions, colleagues?
Where does our part of the money come from?
A portion of it is coming from ARP, but funding for this year will come out of ARP to get the,
General fund money?
the
American Recovery Plan money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was additional funds left, and they're going to transfer those to the, to pay the initial portion of this contract, and then the balance will be in next year's budget.
Well, why did we pick this one instead of the other part that you mentioned out towards Oak Landon? Or a particular reason why we picked this?
There's a lot of, primarily the community input that we have received, and plus getting people access to the Fort Harrison, the newly developing Fort Harrison area, we thought was an important avenue to look at. There's some connectability to our neighborhoods, of course.
Right. And the state park and the city center here, cultural campus, and, well, even going south of the park here, I'm getting off the trails, but the connectivity, you could start over at Community Park and find a trail where you can just go, you could head north for 3, 4, 5 miles. And along the way are the amenities of to the city of Lawrence Park, a state park, a cultural campus, and then businesses and a public gathering area with Civic Plaza. That's kind of the ideal of it, and like you said, an initial connectivity for the city, because I know, thinking bigger and broader is heading out east and heading up north, go up to 79th Street, go up the Fox Road, because, we got the trail with the safe school up there on Fox Road. I mean, I know I'm thinking way out that way, but this is one step. Well, I think it's the second step, because I think that safe schools trail up on Fox Road, to me, is kind of the initial, and this is another part of trying to make Lawrence a more, walkable. Doesn't always have to be a car city.
Yeah, and I think maybe step 0 was the master plan.
There you go.
The city
Yes.
had done. A lot of these, as you can imagine, the funding sources are super competitive. Every community is fighting for the same limited funds, but those communities that have actually done something, like a master plan and thought about it, what we want, we've done some community involvement, we've got input from them, you just stand so much better chance in getting scored higher and getting the project than, we want to do this trail.
Well, that was one of the points when we didn't get the first go round, and then when state funding was announced for various communities around the state, the number one thing they said, they already had existing trails in place, and they were just connecting those trails or expanding off, and it's what you said, that we have a master plan. This, in your professional opinion, should help the city of Lawrence going down the road here, getting more grant money to expand trails, because we're already into the loop, we're already in the system, and we're committed to doing it. You're right, you just couldn't just say, hey, we want a trail, and they were going to give the money. That's not how that works.
And once the funds are spent, and they're spent wisely, it's favorable for us.
And they go to score.
In future years, too.
It's a little off subject, but how are we doing on sidewalks? Are we?
I know the street department has some contracts this year to replace some sidewalks, primarily in the old Lawrence area, along with the sewer and water utility repairs. They're including those in their contracts.
All right. Any other questions for our
I
friends?
got one question about where it says to begin the trail. It's got it on the west side of.
Correct, yes.
So why would we start there?
Well, I think, Joe, we were originally starting it down at 59th Street at the fire station. And again, he was hearing the feedback from DNR on the first application, and we changed that for the second application to have that connectivity to, there's a trail segment on the west side existing.
Yeah. Yes.
There's only sidewalk, 4-foot sidewalk at the fire station, and there's actually 10-foot or 12-foot, whatever width that trail is on the west side. So DNR was like, trails, not sidewalk, trails. So in fact, through this project, we're rip out some of the Watson Farms existing sidewalk they have in front of their pond there out on 63rd Street, because it's only, again, 4 or 5 foot wide to get a 8 to 10 foot wide trail in there.
Okay.
So kind of, sidewalks work, and you can get a pedestrian in one way on a sidewalk, but trails are two-way, and that's
Right.
what the program,
Right.
next level trails, well, it's not a next level trail if you're just
Because
using sidewalk.
you're working on schematics to a degree.
Yes.
And you think of trails, you think a wooded trail, you're not thinking concrete so much. And, now people are, they're biking, strollers. I mean, these are urban trails that we are creating, not necessarily tucked away in the woods.
Yeah.
So every place that there's a sidewalk, we're going to replace it, is that?
Yeah, on that south side. So there's those subdivisions on the north side. And I think that, again, was one of the reasons it scored so high is Joe had gone through and counted the number of homes. And I want to say it was over 1,000
Yeah.
Yeah,
out that way. that
Oh,
goes
yeah, I forgot
around.
Kensington, watch it. Yeah, I forgot. It's a lot of.
Master subdivisions out there, but I think that helped in your connectivity. Now, all those people through this project will be able to get down here in this area where all this new stuff is and activities and arts and civic centers and just all this other great stuff. So it was a very well-written application that I think helped them score. And again, Joe was wise in getting the feedback from DNR and changing the application to kind of make it sing a little bit to what the DNR people wanted to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked extensively when we lost out the first time. And when I say it humbled him, it may have humbled Joe a little bit, but it's like everything else. He learned so much from it. He goes, we didn't get it, what you said. He went back, schematics mean something, and he really took pride and time and energy to get the second bite. And
Well, I think getting those other community folks.
There you go,
buy-in
yes.
to, that was a big component. They were looking for 80-20 like minimum, but if you could show that you were going to put more into the project, either your community's money or others willing to be participants or stakeholders, that helped your application as well. I think the first round, I think they were up to 33%, the winners.
Wow.
Putting 33% community money into the project. So
Shows you got skin in
DNR,
the game.
they could stretch their
Yeah.
money they're passing out further if the communities that are coming forward are putting in more than the base 20%. So getting up to 25, I think, helped too. And again, I think Joe, I don't know, Eric, if he was involved, but knocking on some doors and asking for people.
Yeah.
Part of that, well, it was over the 500,000. I think it's a 500,000 commitment from the city is what he made, but then 83,800 in other commitments, either land that people said they would donate for the project, or people just saying, we will give you $5,000 for this project,
Yeah.
sponsors. So he got a few of those by knocking on some doors.
So we get credit for, if somebody donates land, that's credit?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
Is it, I don't know, you guys don't have it, but this table I brought here, I can show you, is what was in the application. But anytime you put something in the match column, if it was a donation of right-of-way or these $5,000 checks, it reduced the overall cost of the project. So you were getting credit, and that's what the DNR wanted to see.
Okay, I see, that's good.
And Chris, also the funds that we've spent in your development, helping us with the application process, those are also deductible too, aren't they?
I think that they are, and I think that's Joe's understanding, but those have
Might
not
lead
been
into
added
that.
on
Yeah,
there
I was gonna
yet.
say it's not in there, right.
Yeah.
All right, anything else, colleagues?
Have you talked to the school, and are they pretty favorable towards?
Yeah, I have not, but yes, Joe.
Joe's
has.
been,
Joe has.
Joe has been, yes, he's been in the trenches with them. Their portion be a little more involved, like out in front of the two schools, Fort Glen, Fall Creek Valley. They have a ditch kind of component that changes the shape and design of the trail a bit, but they've in talks, and I'll give a big shout, Mayor Collier and Dr. Smith. They they've developed a very, 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 very good working relationship. And it does harken back to the Percy Clark days when he and Mayor Schneider had a very, very good working relationship. I mean, the schools and the city don't operate separately. And the positive vibes we're receiving back from the school corps are there.
When it's finished, who's going to be responsible for taking care of the area? Is that worked out ahead of time, or?
The plan calls for some funds to be kept in perpetuity to do work, yes.
Okay.
But it'll be City of Lawrence staff that'll do that. And hopefully all the plantings and things will be, friendly to,
Maintenance friendly,
Need the gardeners out for that.
yes. Correct. All right.
And I think just to add to that, your question a second ago about the schools is there has been quite a bit of
Yes.
communication, but Joe was only able to put in the application the dollar figures for the people that have truly committed
Yeah.
with a letter that they would donate the land. And I think that was the City of Lawrence Parks Department, you guys, and somebody else. But the schools are favorable to it.
HOA.
And Joe got lots of good feedback from the
I
guy that does the actual maintenance. Probably gonna have to deal with the trail mostly
Okay.
on a day-to-day basis. I don't know his name, but the maintenance superintendent for the school system, he has been super favorable about it. So if those people do end up donating, that would be another credit to
Okay.
the project. So the cost would go
That would be Roger.
down, or you could get more out of the
A lot of.
$1.7 million grant. You could put some benches or other amenities out there maybe that aren't part of it right now.
Good.
And Eric, like I said, we think the other portion of the money that is in there is from the HOA. That Watson Farm?
Yeah, Watson Farms,
Okay.
I believe have a commitment letter with the trail, so.
Good for them.
All right. Anything, Eric, colleagues? All right, I got to change glasses here. Can't wear bifocals, makes me crazy.
Do you have one?
Yep.
Bifocals, Joe.
Oh, one time I wore bifocals, I fell up the stairs. I said never again. All right, at this time, I'd entertain a motion, agreement between the City of Lawrence and United Consulting, Inc. for Phase 1 of the Next Level Trail Project.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make it happen, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Ms. Corey, Mr. Hoffman, Mr. Hammond, any comments?
Sign this tonight or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get this bad boy done.
Okay.
Mr. Hoffman, anything, sir?
No, sir, I believe it's all been covered.
Ms. Corey? All right, well, don't forget, the three of us have a gathering tomorrow, 1:30, Mr. Martin's office. Jeff, read your email. Use agreement.
There wasn't a acceptance. I didn't accept it.
Well, you're accepting it,
I'm going fishing.
because I know one thing.
The interference, your vacation.
I know one thing, I'm gonna try to do nothing on Friday.
Are you adjourned?
Oh,
Adjourned.
we're adjourned, sorry.